I want to go into the future a little bit.
Yeah.
What are your ultimate ambitions as a U.S. women's national team player?
To be the first U.S. women's national team player in space.
Cut! We're done! Wrap it!
The U.S. Soccer Podcast is presented by Henkel. Whether it's bold style, fresh gear at home, clean sheets on the pitch, or performance that holds strong when it matters most, Henkel's family of brands supports fans and athletes on the road to glory this summer.
Allie, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm so. You know what? Guests never ask me that. That is so kind. This is already starting off really well.
I'm so glad.
I'm so happy to have you on the show, and I just want to say before we start that we love doing like a little hype up intro. So I'm going to do that for you here. Are you ready?
Okay.
Okay. You grew up in Boston, Massachusetts, home of the lobster. How was that? Terrible.
The lobster roll. The wicked good lobster roll.
Exactly. Matt Damon, Jaws, and some spectacular soccer players. Lily Reel, the Mua sisters, you. You grew up in the U.S. national team system. You were there at just 12 years old. You didn't just survive the UNC competitive cauldron, you thrived in it. And, not to mention, you made your senior team debut in one of the most historic venues in the world, Wembley. I think it's safe to say that we all think you're just getting started. So welcome to the show, Ally Sentnor.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm so happy to have you. But let's start here. So you were called into your first youth national team camp when you were just 12 years old. And then at 15, you were named Sports Illustrated Sports Kid of the Year. Did you have your first cover at 15 years old?
I guess so.
Were you on the cover?
I was on the kids' cover, yeah.
Do you still have the magazine?
100%. Yeah, it's back home for sure.
Okay, I told Kat McCarty this story, but my mom has a box of Sports Illustrated that I was on the cover when we won the World Cup in 2015, and she made me sign all of them in gold Sharpie. Did your parents do something like this to embarrass you?
Not my parents, my grandmother. She actually went to Barnes & Noble and bought all of them, so nobody else could buy them. And I said, Grandma, we have them. Like, Grammy, we have them. But she bought them anyway.
That's amazing. Does your grandma hand them out like candy on Halloween to like other...
I think she would.
Fans and friends and everybody who asks.
Yeah, she definitely would.
Grammy's the biggest fan.
Yes.
So I want to know, when you're that young, I feel like there's a big spotlight put on you when you get your first cover, when you're recognized that way. Did it feel like a lot of pressure, or are you able to still be a kid?
I think it definitely is a different childhood than, even my siblings had or a lot of my friends had growing up, but it's really cool. I honestly didn't know what the youth national teams were when I got called in.
Really?
I just thought I was going to soccer camp with my friends. I didn't realize kind of the realm I was stepping into. I just thought, oh, this is cool. They're going to fly me to this place. And we were at Colorado. We stayed in dorms. We brought our own towels and sheets and wore khakis and a polo. And I'm like, I guess this is cool. And then I realized, what I was getting into. And I said, oh, there's levels to this. And there's winners and losers. And you get cut and you come back. And I think that's when I just kind of started this. I would call it a whirlwind, but it's such a fun whirlwind.
Yeah, and that's just so interesting. I wonder, how did you, when did it click that this is not just sleepaway soccer camp?
Yeah, I think it clicked to me when I got cut the next camp and I didn't come back. But honestly, April Cater was my first, national team coach. She brought me in super young. I was playing 2 years up. Like I said, didn't know what I was doing. But she, she was great. And she was like, yeah, we're not going to bring you in next camp. You put in a lot of effort. we'll bring you back though. And she did. She, kept her word. She brought me back, and that's when the journey really started, is going to playing the regional teams. Our
Yeah.
U14 national team played all the regional teams
Okay.
in Florida. And then, it was my goal ever since to, make all the rosters and all the age groups and really go on that journey.
And I think you have, actually. Like,
Yeah.
that is something that you have done.
Mm-hmm.
But it has me being kind of curious. Like, I had a very different sort of childhood where I was just playing in the backyard a lot,
Mhm.
kicking against the wall. How did you, like, evolve as a player, like, creatively, and being able to just try things when you're already being in the system at such a young age?
Yeah, I think I give so much credit to my club team. I
Mm.
played for a club team that, started off with probably 400 people in the entire club.
Wow.
We played in the Maple League. We played like 4 years up because nobody knew what the Maple League was. We weren't well known, but
Yeah.
we had just a ton of little, I don't know if I'm allowed to say badass little girls,
you
just,
are.
running around the field. Like, we were super small. We were, feisty, and the whole premise of our club was to empower young women and be creative. So I think I give so much credit to them because they just let us go out there and play. And we played futsal and was able to, learn from that and then bring that into, when we were older, to still be creative.
Yeah, and it's so interesting that you mentioned that you were like kind of the little engine that could, right? Because you come from the same town as the Mewis sisters, Christy and Sam, and according to Wikipedia and the very diligent research that my producer does, it's a
Man.
very small town of 10,000
It
people,
is.
right? But 3 international stars have come from this spot. What is in the water in Hanson?
I would love to know. I think one of the biggest things was, with Hanson elementary school and middle school, everyone played, and everyone would show up on Saturday morning, and we would play into pug nets, and then we'd all get donuts after. It was the community that this town had, which is so great. And obviously I knew who Christy and Sam were. They were such inspirations to me growing up, and I'm just happy that I was able to, follow in their footsteps.
Yeah. Was it Boston cream donuts?
You know what? I feel like I'm more of a like glazed,
Oh.
but it's always Dunkin'.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this makes total sense.
Yeah.
So, Ally, you made your senior debut at Wembley,
Yeah.
and that sounds like an actual dream come true. Can you take us through what that moment felt like and what it meant to you?
Yeah, honestly, the call-up itself was the most honoring moment of my career. It was the most fulfilled I've felt in my career, just going to the camp.
Mm.
And I think going in, I was just like, I'm going to bring my everything. I'm going to make the people around me better. I'm going to just soak it all in. I did not expect to step on the field. I was like, this is, like, I'm just going to learn and just be a sponge.
Yeah.
And so it's a freezing night in England, and I've warmed up a few times, but I'm really sitting on the bench under a blanket, like just cheering on the team. And it was a really tight game, and all of a sudden there's 6 minutes to go, and I'm like, they're like, Ally. I'm like, "Is that me?" I'm like,
This Ally?
oh, there's no other Ally. That's me. So I get up, and they're like, you ready to go? I'm like, sure.
Yeah.
And it's one of the most insane moments. I look up, you can't even see the end of the stands.
Yeah.
And I know my parents are out there, like they made the trip, and Hanson was there, and it was just such an amazing moment. I don't remember a single part of the game, but I just remember, like, do not turn over the ball in the midfield.
Okay.
Whatever you do not cause a counterattack.
Was that your mantra?
Yeah, I was just like, keep the ball and, go out there. So I don't really remember exactly what happened, but it was amazing.
So I have like some of the same experience for mine, and I do wonder though, some players have different experiences. Did you let yourself stop and feel it all, like the buzz of the crowd, the energy swirling in the air? Did you allow yourself to stop and smell the roses, or was it all business?
I think I I have an amazing support system, and they were all texting me before the game. If you get your opportunity, like, just don't be afraid to just take a breath and really embrace it, because you never know if that'll be your first, your last, whatever. So, and I also give a lot of credit to the girls on the team. They were so supportive, so happy for me. It just made the whole moment.
Mm-hmm. Did you have a ritual or a routine that helped ground you in that moment? Is that something that you lean into in those like high pressure situations?
Yeah, I'm not super superstitious or anything, but I do.
Just a little stitious?
You just, I like to kind of just flow. But one of my old coaches was like, during the national anthem, just like open your eyes, look around, like hear what you're hearing, see everyone. I think that's a moment I've taken now into each game. Is during that moment, it's my time to feel my environment, take it all in, feel that pride, and I've kind of carried that now.
So I want to change gears a little bit. And one thing that we have in common is that we both went to UNC, and I'm digging the outfit. Go Heels forever. And we both played under the legendary coach, Hanson, one of my favorite people in the world. And he actually was the one that created the competitive cauldron. And I was wondering if you could explain to our audience kind of what that is.
Yeah, it's tough to explain, I think, but at the end of the day, it's just every single moment in training and every single stat is recorded by our incredible managers that volunteer for the team. Yellow is the new black. That is their Instagram now, and yeah, they really embraced it. And it's all different categories of all different drills, gets ranked throughout the entire year. And then at the end of the year, there's a winner of the competitive cauldron, but it's more for your individual meeting when you go in to be like, what can I work on? Anson's like, well, I have exactly what you can work on. And it just, it raises the competitiveness, intensity of everything.
Can confirm. Did you ever win the competitive cauldron?
I don't think I ever flat out won it,
Really?
but I do think it got a little, it wasn't as strict
Really?
as it was when you were there.
Oh, okay.
We had some flow in there.
What does that mean?
Like, it wasn't, we weren't, to the T about a lot of things. Damon brought in his own drills. Yeah.
So, I did want to tell you like kind of a quick story about mine. Do you know who
Please
Brittany
do.
Bartok is?
Of course, she was our videographer.
Exactly. And she happens to be one of my really great friends, and she went to college at the same time as me, and the competitive cauldron was even more intense then, and apparently was recorded even more like radically than at this time. So Brittany was an incredible player, like one of the most skilled you would have ever seen on the ball. Like, she kind of reminds me of you, actually. She would like tear up defenses, but she had these like really, really short bursts. Like, she could not do it for longer than 20 minutes, and she would admit that. So Hanson, I don't know whether he wanted to like help develop me as a leader or if he just wanted to torture me, but he decided that he was going to make Brittany Bartok on my team the entire spring season. And Britt would just like die after 2 minutes of any of the small-sided drills. So we were basically playing down a player every game. And so he would also pair us up for the figure eights. So if you remember, it's like I would do 8 figure eights, then you would do 8, and then I would do 7. It's this dribbling drill in between these cones. And so Tom Sander, who's the manager, he wouldn't put cones in front of us. He would put trash cans.
Oh,
so
even harder.
So we would go around these trash cans, and I would do 8, and Britt would do 8. Then I would do 7, and Britt would do 7. Then I would do 6, and Britt would do 3. And then I would do the rest of Britt, and then I would do mine, and I'd be like, Britt, are you good? And she'd start back up again, and we would come in first, so we would win. So Hanson, God love him, decided to give me a break one time, and he put her on a different team. And that same person saw what we did, and so they would also take up her reps. So they ended up beating us because I was partnered with somebody like really slow who's doing all of the reps, but like kind of slowly. So at the end of the year, Brittany Bartok, to this day, will still say that she came in number 1 at figure eights and I came in at number 2.
Wow. Wow.
And she...
All the credit. No.
She will hold it over my... She still brings this up. I literally saw her over this summer, and she's still talking about it. So anyways, Britt Bartok, there is your moment of
U.S.
fame.
Soccer Podcast.
Yep, there we go. But I did want to know, how did the competitive cauldron kind of shape you as a player and a person?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where it makes you never turn off during training. You know, like even if you're doing a passing pattern, they're recording how many times you hit the pole. They're recording how many times you get it in the mini goal. And I think in a way it makes you play under pressure in training so that when it comes to the game, that translates. But I also think it made you really like lock in on your super strengths because you're like, this is my part of the cauldron that I need to own. And then it also made you just like push up your weaknesses a little bit more to help close the gaps.
It kind of glaring, didn't it?
Yeah.
Like, wow.
Well, it was glaring. It was on the wall. So
exactly.
you never wanted to
I was
see.
a lot better at this than I actually
Yeah, you never wanted to see your name too far down there. But I think the development of the cauldron was they would do a ranking every day and they would send it out that night instead of like the whole year. So then it was more like you could gauge yourself on that day of training. You know, I felt good and you're like, okay, yeah, it looks like I did well. So it was definitely stressful at points, but I think it made it so that the pressure didn't feel like pressure anymore. It was just that was the norm.
And I think that's kind of the point, right? I wonder, I've heard that Emma has kind of a leaderboard too. How did this prepare you for the national team environment?
Yeah, I mean, you can say this is the most competitive environment ever, the U.S. Women's National Team, and that's just the culture of this team. So even without the leaderboard, you know, like small-sided games are cutthroat, and that's amazing. And you know, everyone is just here to compete, but those leaderships, you know, put a tangible point system on it where you want at the end of camp to be the point leader, and then they have a whole year one. So at the end of the year, you also want to accumulate and be consistent over those camps.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm going to check back in with you at the end of this year to see how you're doing on the Emma leaderboard.
Yes. Don't ask this camp, but end of the year.
Okay. January doesn't count. We'll count February.
Well, unfortunately it does count, but we got points to gain.
Okay, points to gain. I love that. Resiliency.
Yeah.
So I was actually talking to Hanson to prepare for this interview because he's a huge Ally Sentnor fan.
I'm a huge Hanson fan.
And he told me it wasn't all smooth sailing at UNC and that in your very first preseason scrimmage in the early minutes, you had kind of a catastrophic injury. But I wanted to read you something that he said. And he said, quote, "No one trained to get back on the field as hard as Sentnor. She is in my full recovery Hall of Fame because her strength of character was so extraordinary that she wore adversity like a friend."
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah, how does that make you feel?
Oh, he's the best. And I tore my ACL. I came in a year early. So graduated from high school a year early. I made that starting, team in the reserves versus starters game after the beep test. I'm feeling great. And yeah, first 15 minutes of exhibition game, I go down. And it's just one of those things you never think is going to happen to you. So I come off the field and I tell Hanson I'll be back in 2 weeks. And he was like, okay.
That's positivity.
He was like, okay. She's got a lot to learn.
But where does that strength and resilience come from? Is it in
Yeah.
Massachusetts? Or
I mean, it was definitely the way I was raised by my parents in every facet of life. But I think also my club team, we did classroom sessions from a really young age of just like learning how to deal with adversity. So I think that definitely helped as well, but I definitely was not back in 2 weeks. It was a 9-month process, but I owe a lot to Hanson and the staff and Greg, our strength trainer and my PT who just like worked day in and day out with me. And Hanson, let me train with the goalkeepers when I couldn't do contact and I could only do non-contact. And yeah. I think the investment made it possible to, put in that work every day.
So I want to change gears a little bit here. And it's something that has been on my mind for kind of a long time. So studies have shown that pro athletes are overwhelmingly the youngest siblings.
I've heard that too.
Yeah, and it's called the youngest sibling effect. And the thinking behind it is that younger siblings have to work harder, try harder to keep up with the older ones.
Yeah.
So think Serena Williams and Venus. Okay?
Yep.
But you and I, Allie, we beat the odds.
We did.
We are the oldest.
I know.
Do you think, like, how did we do this? How do we beat the odds?
I don't know. I really don't. Me and my sister are only 18 months apart, so it did feel like I had a little bit of a partner in that, and she played soccer growing up as well. But I think I'm just a little bit crazy. And I didn't really need anyone pushing me. Like, I think I'm my biggest critic. I'm my biggest, just person that pushes me to get to the where I want to go. I think like I'm hardest on myself, and it was weird. I didn't need like it would have been great maybe to have an older brother to try to to try to keep up with, but it I had great teammates. I had great, people to look up to. So maybe that was it, but
to be fair, I feel like maybe you were living the youngest sibling effect because weren't you playing in the Maple League up 4 years?
Yeah, I think also playing up on teams and playing with boys, like those were my brothers, and those were
I was playing up too. I was like playing 2 or 3 years ahead. So maybe we were actually
had faux older sisters.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, older sis.
Yep.
But something interesting I ran across while researching this and thinking about this is that did you know 21 of the first 23 astronauts in U.S. history were eldest siblings? And it got me thinking that maybe we should be in space instead.
Maybe career pivot after soccer?
Do you think that? Yeah. Well, I'm doing this, so I'd have to pivot again. But
yeah.
What do you think? Could you actually see yourself going to space? Because I kind of feel like that would be, like, I'm not trying to be Katy Perry, but I think that I could go through the space system program and like really enjoy it.
I think I could see you doing that. I'm 2 feet on land. I don't want to be underwater. I don't want to be above the land.
You're like, I am.
I just don't want a part of it.
I'm comfy here.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep crushing.
I like gravity.
Next summer, the world's biggest tournament comes to America. But long before first kick, the real work happens at home, where families are gearing up for game day. From the locker room to the laundry room, Henkel's trusted brands are fueling performance, strengthening bonds, and celebrating every clean sheet, every bold style, every repaired cleat, and every unstoppable moment. Because the game may be played on the field, but it's won in the everyday. Winning starts at home with Henkel's family of brands, including Persil laundry detergent, Got2b hair care products, Dial soap, and Loctite adhesives. Proud partners of U.S. Soccer.
Well, if we did go to space, I do think that we would need some serious leadership. And that would have to be you, because I feel like you've been on this leadership track since you were very young. And you even captained the U20 national team during the Youth World Cup in 2024. And I want to know, what kind of leader are you?
Yeah.
For our spaceship, what kind of leader?
Yeah, for the spaceship, I might need some help. I'd be a little nervous up there. But I think for me, I'm still figuring out my complete leadership style, and I'm learning from the great leaders around me. I think Lindsay's a great example right now for this team, and she has truly taken all these younger players under her wing and checks in on us and makes sure that she's even come up to me before games and just been like, play you, and giving me a little pep talk. And I think those are the games I play the best, so maybe you need to tell her to keep doing But she's truly been great, and you learn little pieces, I think, from all the different leaders that you have, even at club on Utah, like, oh, I really like that she does that, and I like that, oh, maybe I'm not gonna be vocal like her, but I can have the actions of this player. So I think I like to build my leadership style off of leaders that I respect and see good pieces from. But with the U20s, it was such an honor. I had gone to a 20s World Cup 2 years prior, right after injury. So I was really just trying to make the roster and, get in there and make an impact. And then coming back, it was all my best friends. Like, we had such a blast. I think I made mistakes as a leader. But at the end of the day, I felt like we really had the best team camaraderie I've had on a youth team, and we made it really far. And it was honestly one of the coolest tournaments I've been at with the youth teams.
Yeah, we've heard of the Miracle of Cali.
Oh, yes.
And we talked about that with some of your teammates that were there, and it was really fun talking with Maddie and Riley about that. But I do want to ask, if you don't mind, what you mentioned that you made some mistakes. And I feel like we all do that, right? Like, as athletes, we need to figure out what was good, what wasn't, and then how to improve it.
Yeah.
What were those mistakes in your leadership style, and how did you course correct going forward?
Yeah, I think for me, I had to learn, like delegation and knowing that sometimes, I can't do everything even though I want to, and I want to connect with everyone, but making sure that, everyone had a person, even if it wasn't me. And I think I tried to, talk to everyone and like get coffee with everyone. It's just like not possible. So I think I learned that, the team works because everyone has their role and everyone has their special role. And that's why teams are amazing. And that's why I play a team sport. So it was really fun to kind of go through that and learn that. And coming back into, an NWSL season where it's my 3rd year, I'm hoping I can start to lead that team as well and be someone that people look towards mostly for example, like the way that I train, the way that I go about being a professional, but also on a relationship and connection level.
Yeah, and I think it's really difficult to be a young player going into a team where they're older players, veteran players, really established stars, and being like, hey, this is what I can bring. And I wonder if you think about that, like, oh, how am I going to tell Dabinia or some of these incredible players that have been in the league for such a long time? How are you going to show up for them?
Yeah, I think one of my main character traits is being like an extrovert and being a bubbly, fun person. So if I can connect with my teammates and learn as much about them and their personalities off the field, I think it really helps with learning how to talk to them and, lead on the field. Like me and Davinia take free kicks after training, and, we joke around, and I'm like challenging her and she's challenging me, and, I'm learning from her, but I hope she's also, finding the joy that I have in the game from me as well. So you can always give and take no matter your age, and you even see it on the team now, like Trin, being a leader on this team. She's only, a year or two older than me, but I think that it's really special because everyone has qualities to lead. It's just, embracing those, and it's, being okay with the fact that, age isn't a factor. It's about like just learning and becoming better together.
And does leadership change as the stakes rise? Like, were you a different captain in friendlies than you were in the Miracle of Cali game, where you were, playing this really intense match against Germany, right?
Yeah, I think by the end I was definitely a little tired, so I wasn't speaking as much. But I really I try my best to be as consistent as possible all the time. So I think, whether we're playing a friendly against, Mexico in Atlanta before the World Cup, or we're in that game against Germany, like I don't want to be any different. And whether I'm training a match day -1 or we're playing Paraguay, like I don't want to be a different player, because I think that consistency is huge. And so he says, the way you train is the way you play. So
that's true.
Yeah.
You got to show up to show up.
Exactly.
So let's end here, Ally. This has been so fun and so great. But I want to go into the future a little bit.
Yeah.
What are your ultimate ambitions as a U.S. women's national team player?
To be the first U.S. women's national team player in space.
Cut! We're done. Wrap it. That was
incredible. I don't even want it. Okay, on a serious note, I think, you know,
That's why she went to UNC.
my goals on this team, I really hope I'm just starting out on this team, and I want to make World Cup rosters and Olympic rosters, and I want to be a player that this team can look for real fun on the field. And I want people to watch the national team because, yeah, we're going to destroy everyone in our path, but I want it to be exciting. I want it to be an event, and I want to play a brand of soccer with this team that people are just like so excited to see. So I want to be hopefully an impactful player that can, you know, be creative and drive at back lines and just know something's going to happen and hopefully, you know, do great things with this team.
Ally Sentnor, joy incarnate. Thank you so much for being here. This has been so fun.
Thank you. I've had a blast.
Can't wait to see you in space.
Yeah.
Check engine, ABS, or maintenance light on? And O'Reilly Auto Parts is right around the corner. O'Reilly Auto Parts can help take the guesswork out of your vehicle's check engine, ABS, or maintenance light with O'Reilly Veriscan. A free service that only takes a couple of minutes to complete. You'll receive a free, easy-to-read report with solutions based on over 650 million vehicle scans that have been verified by ASE-certified master technicians. O'Reilly Veriscan can identify the most likely problem with just one scan. The professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts can then recommend the parts and tools that you need to do the repair right the first time. And if you're not comfortable doing the repair yourself, they can recommend a local shop for you. Don't ignore check engine, ABS, or maintenance light. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and ask for O'Reilly Veriscan today, a free service exclusively at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Awesome stuff there, Kling. Thank you so much to Ally for taking the time. Thank you to you, Kling, for going out and getting that done. Ally, now a young player, has fought her way into the U.S. women's national team pool. On the field, what have you seen from her that makes her a huge prospect for this program?
I think everybody can see what a bright star she's going to be for the U.S. women's national team. But I will say, playing against her, she's easy to underestimate because you don't see her speed and technical presence right off the bat. She makes it look so easy that it's really hard to scout her and be like, oh, this is like one of the top dribblers in the world. This is one of the top players with pace and with power in that dribble in the world. But she is. She truly is. And there was one time when I had to play, I think it was 8 for the Portland Thorns against Utah. And I was like, oh, yeah, no problem. I got this rookie. I'm going to just put her in my pocket all day. And she blew past me a few times. And I was like, oh, yeah, I need not underestimate this one. She really, truly is like one of the players who, in my opinion, has the most potential on the national team right now.
Is there a UNC group chat or something where when that happens, it makes the rounds? Are you getting messages from old coaches being like, we told you?
I mean, there should be. There isn't. We have a get-together, a reunion, I guess, every fall at UNC, but I've never gotten to go because
you
the
play professional
season is
soccer.
always exactly. So I'm really looking forward to be able to doing that this year and hanging out with all the young guns, but then also like Mia Hamm and Cindy Parlow and Christine Lilly and all these incredible players.
All right, we get it. It's the greatest program
make
of
me,
all
yeah,
time.
they kind of make me look bad. They're like, oh, you only have 2 rings? What a loser.
Christine Lilly's like, I actually got another cap last month, so I don't know why you're retiring. Like,
Yeah,
you're supposed to go
exactly.
over 200 if you really care about this.
Yeah, she's like, did you even put in any work at all?
Yeah. Well, I look forward to the recap of the reunion that we will be doing here on the U.S. Soccer Podcast. But now we are up to our favorite segment of every show, which is Ask the Pros, presented by O'Reilly Auto Parts. This is where you get to ask the questions to myself, to Kling, and to Ale Bedoya. Let's start with Colin in Atlanta, who says, looking ahead to the next World Cup, what do you, and this is for you, Kling, think will be the biggest tactical or roster challenge for the U.S. women's national team, and which player or position group could end up defining their tournament?
The biggest roster challenge, in my opinion, is figuring out who's fit and who isn't. We clearly have some of the most lethal forwards, strikers, wingers, nines in the world, especially when they're playing together. They're a unit. I mean, they even have their own name, Triple Espresso. So if we are able to have a healthy, at their peak, like training at their prime, Triple Espresso, that's going to be a no-brainer. But what if they're not? I mean, some of them are coming back from injury. Some of them are coming back from maternity leave. And I feel like it leaves open some questions. Luckily, I feel that the U.S. women's national team is very deep. It's shown that the players that have been going in this past year have really stepped up. So that'll be a difficult decision for Emma. But let's just see where we're at. I just want to like end my answer here because it really trailed off in a weird way.
This is why we bring you in for the hard-hitting analysis. No one else does it better. You should have just said left back. That a good left back wins you a tournament, and that is the whole key. Thank you to Meghan Klingenberg for being here and being so important and valuable to the show. Let's go to the next question, which is for me, and it's Mark in Chicago who says, with the first World Cup being the first expanded tournament and hosted across multiple countries, what do you think will be the biggest on-field surprise, and which team is best positioned to take advantage of the new format? So this fascinates me. Like, what will the best third place teams going through mean? That to me is like the whole ball game. One, and then two, teams are going to be in knockout games for the first time in their history. Teams are going to win knockout games for the first time in their history. And I love the idea about teams gathering momentum that don't start well. Because I think often you see, especially young teams, but really new teams at their first World Cup, overawed for a game, a half, and then it's over. We lost the opening game. We're down 2-0 at halftime of the opening game. Not enough to fight back. Now we're behind the 8 ball. Now we go play Brazil in game 2. We're eliminated. And they come out of the World Cup and you're like, oh, they actually played better than I expected, but they're going home early. I think that's the ones where if it's Tunisia or a Cape Verde or Curacao who are new, who have some talent, but not World Cup experience, can they find their feet over the second, third, and then potentially fourth game and then be a real challenge for one of the big ones in a round of 16 in which it wouldn't have felt the same maybe at the last World Cup. So I think those are the ones that I'm looking at where they could have almost like 2 World Cup experiences at one tournament, where in the past it would have been, okay, good one. Now we wait 4 years for them to get into their primes and have this experience again. I think that could be a really interesting opening for this competition. But either way, I'm excited for it and I cannot wait to watch it.
Yeah, and I do think that as we've seen from March Madness and the NCAA, when you make the tournament bigger, more chaos ensues. Like, there is just going to be so much chaos across the board in terms of favorites falling down and dark horses rising up. And that just happens when there's more variables, more factors, more travel, more minutes, more yellow cards, more like that's these are all going to affect play, and it's just going to be so fascinating to see which teams are able to handle it and which teams are not going to rise to the top.
And I like the advent of using a lot of data to understand the sport at a higher level. But sometimes I think before 2 teams are on a field together, we get overexcited of like, look at the gap. Here's all the ways you could prove the gap. But then at some point, 22 players have to step on a field with 1 ball. And like the gap is never as big as it seems then in that moment. And so I think
that's why we play.
That's why we love it.
That's why we play. Yeah, that's why we love it, is because anything can happen on any given day, and especially in the sport of soccer.
Yeah. And it's going to be a special one coming up. If you want to hear more from this expert analysis right here, you can ask your questions to Ask the Pros. Drop our partners at Westwood One a DM on Instagram at Westwood One Sports. Thank you once again to you, Kling. Thank you to Ally. Thank you to Matt as well for getting into the mines and working for us. And don't forget to follow us wherever you get your podcasts, subscribe on YouTube, and never miss an episode. And we'll be back next week.